Okay then guys, before we start, this video is sponsored by Shortform. Shortform, as I've said in the past, is very much like book summaries on steroids. It concises entire books down to just a couple of pages, couple of chapters, all the essential nuggets that you need. So it's useful for me, especially in my current life, because I'm catching a lot of flights at the moment, and it just gets me through those flights. You know, I'm able to just put the headphones in, just listen for 2-3 hours, and, you know, away you go. You can pre-download them. It makes it easy for you. You don't have to have internet access. It's a game changer for me when I'm flying around. Additionally, guys, what's great about Shortform is you can kind of jump from topic to topic. They've got all the different categories on there, and I've told you guys before that when I'm working on a specific thing in my life, that's what I dive into. I read a ton of books on that subject. With Shortform, you're able to do that without having to go and buy 10, 20 books from a different industry over and over again each time. So you've got two options, guys. If you want to sign up, you've got the annual plan and the monthly plan. With my link below, you'll get a 5-day free trial, which gives you full access to all of the books on there, the entire service, which is a great offer. And additionally, if you sign up with the annual membership, you'll get a discount using my link below. Now, straight into the video you came here to watch, guys. Okay then, guys, in this video, I want to talk about why I didn't make it as a pro athlete, okay? And it took me a few years to actually realize why, and somebody commented this. Somebody said, why don't you make a video on why you didn't go pro? And somebody said, oh, it's because he got injured. I actually think it's way deeper than that. Everyone says it's because they got injured and whatnot, and, you know, I was getting a lot of injuries, and it was hampering, you know, my performances and whatnot. It was calf injuries. They just, every game, they would cramp up. I wouldn't be able to run, and I was just like, what can I do? I went to a physio. The guy's like, oh, your shin pad's too tight. It's like, you're getting paid and you're saying your shin pad's too tight. And he was like, just stand on the edge of the stairs and do some calf raises and whatnot. Like, and it was just stupid because now I'm at the age I'm at. I'm just like, nobody told me to join a gym. Do you know what I mean? Nobody said to me, what's your upper body to lower body ratio weight wise? Do they balance out? Nobody said to me, what's your body fat? Nobody said to me, what's your diet? What are you eating? Let's do a blood test. Let's see what you're low on. Nobody ever did that. And in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, that is the dumbest setup I've ever seen in my life, because that's exactly what I do now. You know, if I was trying to perform at a high level, this is exactly what I'd do now. I'd go through all of those steps. And I'd be like, your upper body's too heavy for your lower body. You've got a weakness in your calves. Do you go to the gym? No. Okay, well, we need to start doing leg routines. You ever done a leg routine? No. Which at the time I had it. I'd never done legs in the gym. Can you believe that? Not once, right? It was all the way until, I would say I was about 22 years old before I did my first leg day. Maybe 21. Yeah, I was 21 before I did my first leg day. And it was with one of my dad's friends who was in the gym, and he was like, you might as well train with me. This guy had been to prison, and he was just like, this is how you really train. I couldn't walk. I was trying to walk out the gym. It was hilarious. I was trying to stand. They were all like jelly. And I realized then and there, I was like, I've never trained legs in my life. I've like, my dad had a gym in the garage when we were really young, and you do some like curls and whatnot, but you've never trained legs. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do a couple curls and you think it's going to help and whatnot, but like, I wasn't stretching. I wasn't training legs. My diet was, I can eat whatever I want to eat. I wasn't drinking 4 liters of water per day. I was probably getting at most like 2 cups of water. And then on top of that, I would have like 4 cups of tea. I would have like a Powerade. I would have a sugary drink and whatnot. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out what was actually happening. Like, you're super dehydrated. You've got a weakness in your calves. You've literally never trained legs. As you're getting older and bigger, because you're sat all the time doing exams, and because you're, you know, sat at school working, whatnot, and as you get older, you run less. So when I was 11, I might have been on the playground, running around, training my legs somewhat. And that used to be my belief, actually. When I was talking about the guy from prison who trained me, he said to me, do you ever train legs? And I was just, and this other guy who, from my college said it to me as well. And I was like, nah, I never train legs, because at the end of the day, I was like, I run. I was like, I train upper body because, you know, that's gym. I was like, lower body, I run, I play football. And he was like, yeah, but you still need to train your legs. And I was like, no, thought I knew it all. Which, you know, obviously, you know, now is just a stupid thing to do. And, you know, looking back, it's a massive reason as to why my football career fell apart. Because, like I said, when you're at school, you're running around using legs and whatnot. As you get older, you run less, you walk less, you know, you start driving and whatnot. I wasn't using my legs, but as a man, you're just going to grow. So your upper body, I remember this quite well. I was the quickest. Wherever I went, I was always the fastest runner. I ran at almost a national level, and then I just didn't want to take it further because of football. But I was one below national level. It was like the country split in half, north and south. I was running 100 meters. I was absolutely rapid. And I obviously chose football over sprinting and whatnot. I didn't have blocks, I didn't have all the equipment, and I was still quicker than most people. I could have gone really far doing that, and I just chose football, right? But as I got older, it's very much like sat like this in front of the TV, in front of a games console, and you're picking things up, lifting things up, you're moving things around, you're using your upper body, but you're not using your lower. You're eating shit foods, you're not moving as much as you used to. And I remember the day. I remember you go for a few beers as well. You have one or two over summer and it adds up. I remember the day though. I went to a place called Bristol. I was at my friend's pre-drinks and they said to me, "You look like Gary from Geordie Shore," which was a show that we had in the UK. And then I said, because I was cocky back then, I said, "I've even got his abs." And they went, "Oh, go on then, show me." And there was this girl there, really attractive girl. And I was like, "Oh, it's my time to show off." And I pulled my top up and they went, "No." And like everyone laughed and I was like, yeah, yeah. And I sat down and I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "I thought I had abs. Like, I thought I had like a legit 8-pack. Like, when did that go?" I was like, "What the hell?" I used to be known in school for being the guy with the 6-pack, for having the abs. It was like me and this other guy, and we had like massive 6-packs and nobody else did. And I was like, when did that creep up on me? And that is a big reason as to why I didn't go pro, because as you're getting older, your upper body is growing, you're growing naturally as a man. You're moving less because you're sat down doing exams, you're driving instead of running and walking everywhere. You're just not. Do you want to play football or do you want to chill with a girl and watch a movie? You're like, chill with a girl and watch a movie. So you end up just doing less and whatnot, and just, you know, you're not stretching, you're not moving, you're not crawling, you're just not doing half the shit you used to do. And my body just kind of like seized up. And I remember there were 2 years where I was really slow. I was trying to catch this like fat kid, and I was like, I'm actually getting nowhere near him. He's actually moving away from me. And I was like, I don't know what's happened. Like, my legs have just stopped working in life. And it was the same on a football pitch. I was like, where's my speed gone? And people would say, like, where's your speed gone? I was like, oh, I'm injured. I'm carrying an injury at the moment. And I think that really messed up my career. My calves would go all the time. It was just like a weakness in my legs. And I was just like, I'm never going to end up making it. Now, there was isolated moments. So from like 16 to 18, this is when you make it. I remember when I'd lived clean and I'd gone for a lot of runs in the week. I'd been running, I'd been training, stretching, whatnot. Still no gym stuff. But I'd go and play and I'd be hydrating. I'd be like going to bed early and I'd go and play and my speed was back. I was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I'm back to my normal self again. And it was almost just like your body's in such a balance that a 3-4% body fat drop, you know, water retention, clean diet, everything just made you really quick again. And I was like, wow, I'm back. And then it would fade when I wouldn't live right and whatever. But I had nobody to guide me. And I remember when I didn't make it, because it was the cutoff point, and they just said, like, look, basically, unless you join this college, you're not going to, we can't accept you because we don't get a grant. And I was like, all right, never mind. But I remember years later, I found the gym, started training my legs, went back on the football pitch years later, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm absolutely rapid. I'm tearing people to pieces. People are bouncing off me. I can run for 90 minutes with no injuries, no issues, no problems. I'm scoring goals for fun. Everything that I used to struggle with, I'm now good at. I've not got any injuries. My legs feel solid and underneath me. My body fat's low. I was like, this is incredible. And that's why I didn't make it, in my opinion. It was knowledge. And that's why it's so important to make this video for you guys. Because, you know, if you're trying to be a pro athlete, that helps. But even if you're just trying to accomplish anything in your life, you've got to understand knowledge is enormous. Just doing the right things on repeat every single day, you know, is obviously the end goal. But just knowing what to do. And that's why, you know, like YouTube channels and information online and be able to get access to these videos. Imagine 20 years ago, like being out of shape, not being able to attract women. And you just be like, what do I do? Like, how do I need an expensive car? Like, there'd be nobody online who's tested the methods and like it is now. It would absolutely suck. And that was my biggest problem. My diet was off. I wasn't hydrated. I wasn't stretching. I'd never trained legs in my life, but I'd started to do upper body stuff. So I was getting heavier and bigger up top and nothing on my legs. And it was showing. They were skinny as hell. You can actually see I don't know if I can find it, but there's an old football picture of me where like you can see my body. I'm like 15, 16 and my upper body's starting to become like a man. And I remember getting facial hair and stuff like that, like a full beard at that time. I think I shaved it for the picture. But like my body is starting to expand. It looks big and my legs still look like they did when I was 12. And a lot of the other lads, like they were built, like the whole body was built and they were just playing catch up. I was the youngest in the year, but they were almost playing catch up ability wise. My biggest strength was that I was really quick and I could just dribble anybody. You know, I could just get the ball, dribble past 2-3 people, do whatever I wanted. Nobody could catch me. It was very Mbappe style. Like, I just lined somebody up, slow them down, bang, kick it, go. Like, I was one of the 20 quickest kids in my age group in the country. It wasn't hard to just blow people away off the mark. And I was quicker off the mark than I was over 100. I was quicker over like 40, 50, 60 meters. So I was probably one of the top 10 quickest over like 40 meters in the country. So on a football pitch, that was massive. You just kick, chase, oh, I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? You're in behind. It makes you look like an unbelievable player. But on top of that, you have ability. But I really let myself down because I remember when I really got myself in shape and we'd be doing preseason training or, you know, cardio stuff, sprints and whatnot, I would just be embarrassing people. I'd have that endurance to just keep going and just burn people out. And it would just be like, wow, I'm such a better athlete than everybody on my team. And this was at a high level. And I was like, I could do whatever I want. I could make it. But, you know, you're getting home, you're playing video games. This is a true story. I would get home from college early. I would go and make myself, it was cold. I'd make myself a nice cup of tea or something. I'd put 2 sugars in. Like, what, do you know what I mean? You're putting 2 sugars in. You've been sat at college all day, sat down, just checking out girls, having a laugh. You've driven home. So you've done 0 exercise that day. I would then sit in front of my Xbox, put my headset on with the boys. I'd have a box of Pringles about that big, the extra large one. I'd have a cup of tea, and I'd maybe make myself like crackers and cheese. And I'd just be scoffing away. Yeah, let's play video games till like 4 a.m. because I haven't got college tomorrow. So I'd do that, wake up the next day and be like, right, I've got a game on Saturday or Sunday, which was like 2 days away. And I was like, you know, I better go and do some keepy uppies on the patio to get like my mind in gear. Like that was my routine. And like I said, that body fat thing was the creeper for me. That was the one thing that made me realize, but it was too late by then, but it made me realize, oh, I've not been taking care of my body. I was like, I've been relying on pure raw ability. You know when they say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard? That was the definition of me. And it wasn't that I purposely didn't work hard. I liked to train. I would train hard, I'd whatever. I just had really bad habits, which nobody ever told me it was, do you know what I mean? I'd come back from a game and my mum would have made me like a roast dinner with gravy. I'd eat that and then she'd be like, oh, here's your dessert. I had a good game. I scored 2 or 3 goals and I'd be eating like a massive fat dessert. And it was like, I don't know, my dad would even say to me like, yeah, you deserved it. Eat it, mate. Whereas in hindsight, who I am now and how I treat my body, I'd have been like, no, I don't want it. But at the end of the day, like, how is a 12-year-old supposed to say to their mum, like, no, I don't want it? Like, at 11, 12, I was so far ahead of everyone else as well. Like, ability-wise, like, I could do whatever I wanted. I played against Aston Villa Academy, and they were some of the best players in the country, and I made them look silly. Like, destroyed them. I scored 2, got 1 assist, and destroyed them. Like, it was so easy. I was laughing my head off. And they said to me afterwards, we want to sign you, but you live too far away. There was a rule of 90 minutes where you couldn't travel. You can literally search it on Google in the UK. There was a 90-minute school rule. They've abolished it now, but it was around then. It was when it was harder to travel. And yeah, they just couldn't believe it because I was like a year younger than all of their players as well because I was the youngest in my year. And they were just like, this guy's going to be a superstar. And it was like I had teachers at school that would let me leave class early because they were just like, he's going to be a superstar footballer and he's going to remember me one day and whatever. And they like there was almost this like exception at the school. You can go and do whatever you want. I remember like playing 5-a-side on an AstroTurf against guys that were like 6 years older than us and destroying them. Like I was playing for my dad's team. I was training with my dad's team when I was like 7, 8 years old. And of course, you know, they weren't smashing tackles into me. They weren't being physical. But I was nutmegging them. I was scoring goals. I was finishing past the keepers. Like, honestly, I was that good. It was ridiculous. And I was quicker than some of them as well. It was just, I remember the manager would like race the kids as like a joke, like some sessions. And he'd leave the kids for dead. But I'd be like right up with the manager. And the manager would have to like try as hard as they could and like dip me at the line. And they were just like, this kid's like 7 years old. He's like nearly beating me in a race. It was, yeah, it was weird. I had all the talent in the world, but nobody was telling me what to do. Nobody was giving me the advice. It's like I've said to you guys before, you could be Albert Einstein, but if somebody isn't giving you the correct answers to the exam, you're going to fail because you just don't know what the answers are. I was that. I was like the Albert Einstein of football in terms of ability, but nobody was telling me like how to play, what to do, how to train. It was just like, I'm quicker than everybody. I'm better than everybody else. I can do whatever I want with this football. If I go left, the ball comes left. If I shimmy right and go left, the man falls over. It was just like whatever I wanted to do, I could do. If I want to shoot and put it top corner, it's going top corner. And it did. It was scary. It was just like I could do whatever I want with this football. But then, like I said, your body just starts to change. And nobody's telling me, bro, you're like 4%, 5% body fat fatter than you used to be. Your legs are still the same size, but your upper body is like twice as big. You're not, like, it's not just about speed and cardio and whatever. You're not moving the same. You go to like do that shimmy and go the other way, and it's 3 milliseconds slower, and I couldn't push off in the same way. I couldn't turn at the same rate. Do you know what I mean? You're just ever so slightly off the pace. Your cardio's ever so slightly off the pace. It became harder to run, and it just wasn't till years later where I figured it out. And it's like, you know, when I played matches years later, like not professionally, just, you know, casually with friends and whatnot, it's a competitive league. But when I played, I was like, you absolute idiot. I was scoring like 6 to 8 goals a game against, you know, they're not professional people, but there's some good players in the UK. And I was scoring like 6 to 8 goals a game. And I was like, what you could have been if you were just trained, because my legs were a lot bigger then. My body fat was lower. And it just, the speed was like triple what it used to be. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you could have been an absolute superstar, but you just never knew what to do. Like, I stretch now. I only drink water now. Do you know what I mean? A couple coffees here and there, but I don't drink alcohol. I'm going to bed 7 hours earlier than I used to when I was a kid. Like, it's just ridiculous. I'd stay up till 3, 4 in the morning playing video games and think nothing of it and just be scoffing Pringles. Then before you went to bed, I'd go downstairs, like down like a pint of milk, and then maybe have like a Snickers bar, you know, a big lump of cheese, and then be like, right, let's go to bed now. Like, it was just, nobody was telling me. Do you know what I mean? You have no guidance. My dad wasn't there from 14 onwards. This is why it's so important to find like mentors and role models and these sort of channels, because that's just sports. Imagine what it's like for like women. Imagine what it's like for, you know, masculinity. Imagine what it's like for job interviews, or imagine what it's like for success, making money, navigating your way through the world, fitness, getting in shape. Like, there's so many people online now that can help you with all of these, and you've just got to be a sponge. Because at the end of the day, guys, I was in an era where you had to figure everything out yourself, and trial and error is shit because it takes time. Like, the amount of like good women that you lose, the amount of mistakes you make in life, the amount of money that you've lost, and then you get used to life, you figure it all out. You know, I was going to the gym relentlessly and getting 0 results, and it's just like, I'm in a position in my life now where everything goes well quickly, and you're like, I've figured this out now. Very much like the aggregation of marginal gains for age that I spoke to you guys about. So from like 18 to 29, you might make like 5% increase in results. From 29 to 30, it might be like that, because you've just learnt life. The perfect example is, you know, when you're playing video games, like you're 4 years old and you can't complete a level, and you give it to your older brother and he does it like that. You know, you get older, you get to your older brother's age and you do it like that. And you go, why was I struggling on that when I was 4? Like, why was that? But you become better at things. You become better at life. That happens to everybody. Now, if you're doing it trial and error, it takes a long time, and it's probably too late before you get to a certain stage. This is why from a young age, you guys just need to be a sponge. Anybody who's been there and done it, anybody who's already in shape, anybody who's already successful, if you're trying to be a pro athlete, just study pro athletes. Just see what they're doing, how they treat their body. You know, what does Mayweather do? Mayweather goes to a club occasionally, doesn't drink, and then runs back at like 4 a.m. You know, so when he does go out, he's still training. That's why he's the GOAT. Do you know what I mean? It's just different levels. Like Mike Tyson used to train like 8 hours a day, twice a day. And I mean like 4 hours and then 4 hours, but he used to do it twice a day and have a sleep in between. Roger Federer sleeps 15 hours a day. Like, it's not by accident. Look at Ronaldo. Ronaldo trains his absolute arse off, does everything you could ever imagine to make sure that he's the best. And that's what you need, and that's just sports. I'm talking about life in general. Like, you want the perfect body, you're probably going to have to train twice a day. You're going to have to go to bed at 9, get up at 6 a.m., be in that gym, staying on weekends. You're going to have to do the same thing Saturday and Sunday, you know, and just have a bit of discipline. You want a ton of money? Guys, it's 16 hours a day working on something. It's relentless. It's all the sports matches on, like the big games on for 4 hours. No, I'm going to work. It's that for like 8 to 10 years. There is no shortcut. You know, why I didn't make it as a pro athlete, I always thought it was injuries. In hindsight, I could have prevented those injuries like that. I know exactly what I should have been doing in hindsight now that I'm older. I know if I could go back in time now and grab like 11-year-old me and say, you're going to start training your legs, you're going to start cleaning up your diet, you're going to start drinking 4 liters of water per day, you're going to start, you know, just stretching every single day. You're going to start actually working on specifics of the game. Oh yeah, you're quicker than everybody else, you're better than everybody else, but I want you to actually learn how the game works. Not just, oh, I get the ball, I kick it, I chase, I go through on goal, I finish it. And it's like, what a player. And you go, yeah, but as you get older, people get smarter. And if I was a centre-back and some guy just kept kicking it down the line, I'd just step across and just nick it off him. And that happened to me as I got older. I was like, because I got a bit slower and I was like, it's not working anymore. Like, people have got better. People are smarter. It's like doing the level at 4 years old and 8 years old. Like, it's easier at 8 than it is 4. Well, you've got some 18-year-old centre-back who's got a big beard, looks like a man. He's physically developed. You know, you go to knock it down the line. You go past the first guy for speed and the centre-back's read it early. He comes across and just takes the ball off you. Whereas when I was young, some like 6-year-old centre-back wouldn't see that coming. And they're just kind of like watching the game, dawdling. But like the game knowledge made it a little bit harder at the elite level. So that's what I would have done. I'd have been like, just study the game, learn everything. Like, that isn't going to work at the top level. It's, you know, there's just a lot of things that, like, you see a young lad who's just like destroying everybody and you're like, that's great, but at the top level, it's not going to happen. Like, you're not going to go through the whole team and dribble with the ball. So I'd be scouting the player with like a great touch, a great pass, great vision. Like, they're looking around the pitch all the time, great cardio. I'd be like, that translates to the actual, you know, pro game. That would be my take on it. And you also don't know somebody's lifestyle. Like, I had friends that were going to go pro and they, you know, couldn't help going out, getting drunk and sleeping with women. So you just don't know who somebody's going to be. But it all comes from like habits, mindset. Truth be told, guys, like, ability-wise, I was like top 0.1% in the country. Maybe even worldwide. I honestly would say that. I went to international tournaments in places like Amsterdam, and I was like, I'm the best player here by a mile. There'd be like 1 or 2 kids where you'd be like, okay, he's probably on my level. But you're finding like 3 kids in like the best academies in the world, like in the whole of Europe, like some of the best academies in the world. You're destroying one of the best academies in England, in Aston Villa, and you're just like, I am one of the best young players in the world here. This is outrageous. But that's what I mean. I didn't make it. So then when you add that up, you go, well, it's got to be like, I would say it's honestly like 90% mental. I would say a lot of it is mental, what you know, what you're doing off the pitch, you know, the mindset that comes with it. It's just because, as men especially, like, as a woman, if you're going to have boobs and hips and arse, you're going to have boobs, hips and arse. It's just going to happen. You're going to be beautiful. There's not a lot you can do to change it. You might have certain lifestyle habits and whatever that help, and low body fat, whatnot, and a clean diet. But I don't know, you know, if you're going to be hot, you're going to be hot. But as a man, it's like a lot of who you're going to be is determined by your early lifestyle. You know, if you've got low testosterone in your puberty stages because you're just living a terrible way, you're not going to develop the same as a guy who's like started hitting the gym, or like does sports, or eats really clean food, maybe lives on a farm and is like lifting heavy shit all day. And like I've got friends like that, and they're like 6'4" and jacked. And like when I was young, like my dad would train me. I was boxing from a young age. I was lifting weights in the garage, like upper body with my dad. I was doing, I'd go for a run with my dad. I'd play football with my dad. I would, I'd go and work with my dad's and my dad's friends. So I was like doing barreling. I was doing shoveling. I was like doing bricklaying and stuff like that. So I got really strong naturally. I have certain muscles like that one there. It's on both hands, so it's not from wanking. But I've got like a massive muscle on both hands, and very few people have got it. And it's from like laboring from a young age, like doing construction work. Same with like my forearms are really big. I don't know if you can see, you might be able to see them there. But my forearms are like really big, and it's from like carrying like wheelbarrows and shovels. Like my back is enormous, and I don't train it. And it's again from like you're wheelbarrowing heavy shit all the time. And it just built up your back. You're always like lifting and like pushing. I was doing that from like 12 years old. Like you lift up the wheelbarrow, you push it over, or you're shoveling and you're turning with it, and you just got these giant lats. I've never trained. I've not really ever trained my back in my life. I've probably done collectively like 30 back sessions, and I'm like 31 years old. It's just naturally really, really strong, and I'm actually against training it, because if it gets any bigger, it gets a bit weird. It's a bit grotesque, and clothes don't fit because it lifts up the back. But I wasn't doing that on my legs. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't training it in that sense. And a lot of what you do when you're younger, the habits that you have, beers with the boys on a Saturday night. Once we hit 14 years old, it was house parties, girls, etc. That's the end of your career. You're just starting to mess up your chemistry then. You're starting to store fat rather than burn it. And I remember hearing a story when I was really young, and I didn't really take it on board, but they were saying about, I think it was about 16, 17, and they were on about a footballer called Ledley King. And two rappers went to school with him in, I think it was Tottenham. And they said to these rappers, like, was he just way better than everybody else when he was younger? And they were like, look, truth be told, no, he wasn't actually that good. They said, but when everyone was going to parties, he was staying in and training. They were like, you'd be at a party and you'd see him like jog past. They said like he'd be down the gym when everyone else was just like, we like come for a beer. And he was just like, no, I want to become a professional footballer. And they said he wasn't that good, but nobody else was doing what he was doing. So he just excelled. And from like 14 to 18, your body develops so much from like boy to a man. If you're doing the right habits, you probably get like a 30-40% gain on everybody else. Like my business partner is one of the strongest people I've ever met. He's like 82, 83 kilograms. And he's just stood there in slow motion with 40 kg dumbbells, just like this. I'll get a video next week when we're in Spain. He's just doing this in slow motion, controlled, not like leaning back and shit. One of the strongest guys I've ever met in my life. He started lifting weights when he was younger, and he had like really big, strong older brothers. And he was like, that's what I attest it to. He was like, I started lifting weights from a super young age, and he's got muscles in places like here that you've never seen. It's just like a weird physique. Like it looks great, but it's just like a weird physique. Obviously, where you go, you're like you've got body parts that are fused together. I've not seen anybody else have that before. It's really interesting to see. And I think there's a lot that happens in transition when you're of those ages. It's like natural ability. How much work are you putting in? And like who I am now and how I've built my body and whatever. If I did that at the young age, I would have gone pro. 100%. And this is the message for you guys. If you're trying to go pro in sports, whatnot, please heed this message, because that will help you. You'll just outperform everybody in that sense. You're just working on specific details. You're gonna outwork everybody. You're gonna make it, okay? But take this for like business. Take this for, success, for money management, learning the financial side of things. Take this for like learning your technology that you're working on. Do you want to be the best in this industry? Study it, learn it relentlessly, become the best. Do what the GOATs are doing. If you want to attract women, you got to go and learn what guys who are attracting women are doing. You got to go and watch every video online. You got to read every book, and you just got to be like, what mistakes am I making? What mistakes are other guys making? What did I do wrong? Instead of getting salty and be like, you hoe and all this shit. I hate guys like that. Just study the game and be like, I'm not perfect. Just take some humility. I always thought I was like, I'm the shit. I'm the best player. And you get really arrogant, and you just kind of, I thought I could just eat chocolate. I thought I could just eat chocolate, crisps, Powerades, whatnot, and just like step on the field and just do everybody. And I could. That was the problem. I was doing that. And this is why I always say to you guys, you know, like the real handsome Jacks guys naturally, that's why they always fail in life, because it's too easy. And life still goes really well, even though they've got bad habits like going out, getting drunk at a party. They still sleep with the hottest girl there. But then eventually the great male filter hits and that goes and falls off a cliff. The same thing was happening to me. So I was living however I wanted to live, and I was still the best player. Still, I scored 4 today. I scored 5. I scored 6. I'm amazing. And then it just hits you. You're just like, I can't keep doing what I was doing. Like, people are overtaking me. That guy caught me up. Nobody's ever caught me up. What the fuck happened there? You know, you're getting a few calf injuries. You're limping off, and you're just like, it's never happened to me before. And it all starts to go downhill. You can only do bad habits for so long, and then it starts creeping in. And you know, take this advice for your life, guys. Take it for everything you're doing. Like I said, women, gym, whatever it might be. If you're going to the gym and you're not getting results, I guarantee your diet's shit. I guarantee you're drinking too much alcohol. If you're going to the gym and then going out and partying, gym partying, hey, you do you. You enjoy your life. But I guarantee you're not, you know, living the way you're supposed to. You know, you look at somebody like Ricky Hatton. I actually saw him down here recently. He was here for the races. And he used to, you know, he's a professional boxer, got to the highest level, won the world title off Costa Zoo. My dad was there, actually. And this guy used to drink beer relentlessly. So he'd win, he'd get drunk for months, and he'd get really fat. And then he'd train again and lose it all. He could do this for a few years, and then he came up against Mayweather, Pacquiao, some of these better guys, and he got destroyed. And he got knocked out twice badly, and it ended his career. Had he trained properly, he would have been okay. I've got a story, actually, from Amir Khan. So Amir Khan, the boxer, naturally one of the quickest boxers of all time. Ability-wise, one of the best boxers anybody's ever seen. And then, you know, he was knocking people out for fun. And then he went to train with Freddie Roach because I think he got knocked out by Prescott. And I think it happened maybe a second time. So he went to train with Freddie Roach, Manny Pacquiao's coach, and he came in, whatever. And I believe the story is he said to Freddie Roach, okay, I'm not fighting until like July. It was like September, and he was like, the fight's going to be in July. I want to start training with you around about April so I can get ready for the fight. And Freddie Roach was like, wait, what, you don't train between fights? And he was like, no, I always take like 6 months off and then I do a training camp. And Freddie Roach was just like, well, that's why you're getting knocked out. He was like, these other guys are just progressing so much quicker than you because they're putting in like a whole year's worth of work and you're doing like 3 months a year. Like, of course they're gonna outwork you. They're gonna do more than you. And that was like for the summer. I wouldn't even play football tournaments in the summer. I would take like 2 months off, 3 months off in the summer, and I'd be like, I'm resting my body and my legs, which, you know, might actually be beneficial to a young man, but you could have still worked on the technicals. I could have easily watched videos of top players and been like, how are they moving? What are they doing? You know, you could have easily stayed on top of your cardio. Why would you let that drop? Now, I was playing with friends and I'd play a bit of cricket and whatever, but you know, you'd swim on holiday, but it wasn't the same. And it's like you're missing out on 3 months of massive development. You could just be working on your touch. Why would you not just be working on your touch, on your weak foot? You know, stuff like that. And this is what the GOATs do. This is what Kobe does. This is what Kobe was doing. This is what Jordan did. You know, all these top guys. Like, that's, you know, if you've not read the book, Relentless by Tim Grover, he talks about cleaners. That's what I didn't have ingrained into me. I have it now. I'm a cleaner now. I'm able to just demolish people. Nobody told me to be a cleaner back then. Nobody gave me that mindset. I didn't meet anybody. I didn't see anybody that had that mindset. It probably doesn't help that I grew up in a small town. I think that's why you get so many top players coming out of like London, Liverpool, Manchester in the UK. In America, it might be the same in big cities. It's because it's cutthroat. It's like a jungle. It's just ruthless. And it's the same in life. It's the same with wealth and stuff like that. I didn't realize I wanted to be rich until I went to Paris and Toronto. And I just looked around and I went, shit, I'm so far behind. It's ridiculous. I was like, that guy's driving past in a Lamborghini. He's no older than me. I was like, he looks like an absolute boss. You know, I was in Paris trying to flirt with this girl who was a straight 10. And these two guys were laughing at me. And then they got in like this blacked out, whatever it was at the time. It's a long time ago. It's probably like $100,000 car, and she gets in the back and she's just like waving, laughing, and off she goes. And I was like, oh, I'm getting exposure now. I'm getting exposure from like real world places with like high level people who are all competing with each other. I'd not really had that level of competition in life before. I thought, oh, handsome guy from a small town who's able to attract local girls. I'll go anywhere in the world and do the same. And it was just like, no, these guys are a much higher level. And it all stems from the same place. It all stems from, why I didn't make it in sports, why it takes years to build up your life, why it takes years to become like a top dog and whatnot. And it's just that relentless chipping away at everything, like fitness, your game. I'm talking like with women, like, how good are you at that stuff? You're making loads of mistakes. Okay, I'll learn from that. I won't do that next time. I'll watch that video. I'll learn. I understand what I did wrong now. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Your fashion. You take risks when you're younger. Styles like Freddie Lundberg with his red mohawk, like I showed you guys before. Like stuff like that doesn't translate. Figuring out how to actually make money, where to invest money, the mistakes you made before. Your life habits. Like, it took me till about 30 years old to start going to bed at like 9 p.m. I do it occasionally, but, like regularly, like 9 p.m., drinking 4 liters of water, like having that actual routine. And I dabble with it in the past, but now, like, what I'm doing right now is literal perfection. Every minute in my day is filled with something I need. And it's changing the game. The results that I'm getting is ridiculous in all areas of life, and I've become a sponge. I'm just learning all the time. I'm reading books again. I'm reading 3 or 4 books a day, which is why I've brought short form back on as well, guys. So, yeah, that's why I didn't go pro. And that is why your life will suffer if you don't, take this advice and realize I was making mistakes without realizing I was making those mistakes. You've got to study the people that are at the top. What are they doing? You've got to become a complete student of the game in everything you're doing. If you're trying to become an athlete, you need to be in there 24/7, studying it like it's an exam that you're going to take. Why did he take that touch? Why did he turn there? There's no reason, if you're trying to become a professional basketball player and you're 11 years old, there's no reason why you shouldn't be asking your mum and dad to buy you Relentless by Tim Grover. There's no reason, if you're trying to become a professional footballer, like in the UK, soccer player, there's no reason you shouldn't be reading like Pep Guardiola books or Johan Cruyff books on tactics and stuff like that. There's no reason why you shouldn't be going and doing your coaching badges and everything and whatnot. You should be doing all that at a young age. It will change the absolute game for you. You should be going to local football pitches, men's games, and watching and studying, because even if it's local and they're rubbish, they've still got knowledge of the game. You'll still see how the men's game goes. You'd turn up at like local semi-pro games and just watch and study and be like, why is he moving like that? Why is he doing that? Look at the communication. You need to understand what's ahead for you and stuff like that. Should be doing that at like 11, 12 years old. If I could go back now to being 14 years old and, forget football. If I wanted to be the world's best chef, I could have done it. If I wanted to be the world's best cameraman, I could have done it. If I wanted to be the world's best tattoo artist, could have done it. It's this knowledge and this mindset. Once you know how to apply yourself in that sense and you know what it takes to get to the top, you can do it in any industry you want. There's a talent barrier. If I wanted to be in the NBA, I'm 6'2". Unless I'm the best shooter in the world, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. But I could have had a good try. I could have just shot relentlessly. I could have just done like 5,000 shots a day for like 10 years and maybe I wouldn't have made it, but I would have got very, very close. I would have been like, wow, I'm actually a good player. I'm quick, I'm agile, I'm a natural athlete. Like, I could have done something. Do you know what I mean? But I genuinely believe if you just apply yourself mindset-wise, you treat your body like it's a temple, you become a student of the game, and you're just all ears. You're just listening to all these mentors and all these people around you, and you're going, let me listen. I've not got an ego. I'm humble. Like, teach me. What am I doing wrong? Okay, let me change. You know better than I do. And you're constantly seeking out that advice. You're constantly trying to improve. When everyone else is going out at 16 to go and get drunk at a house party, you stay in. And it works, like I said, for success as well. And it works for, when every guy's like, mate, I get girls. I'm the best at getting girls. Every girl loves me and whatever. And you're actually studying it. And you're actually understanding body language and how things work and the female psychology and whatnot. If you're that guy, and instead of going in the gym, you're ego lifting, instead of doing that, you're like watching Rob Lipset and Mike Thurston videos, and you're going, okay, here's where I need to put my thumbs. Here's how I need to angle my elbow. Okay, I need to detract. I need to be there. I need to detract that. I need to put that there. Like, you're actually studying it with a light weight, and everyone's laughing at you and whatever. But by like 25, you're just jacked. Like, you're the winner. Do you know what I mean? And this is it's probably my most important video ever, actually, guys, truth be told. Coming up to 40 minutes. I think I've told you everything there. I hope that's helped a lot of you guys out. And I'll speak to you all soon, guys.